You do fall. We're humans. It's what we do. We fall. It's part of our story is to fall, is to err, and to breathe in the learning that is intrinsic in the air. I mean, how else are you going to learn? And then to get back onto the path, because we have now learned something even harder earned.
If anything, human being dwells in between being and appearance, right? Like, so it just seems to be where we live, or participation and individuation, right? And we are that tension, right? So this is the central thing about being human. This is the consideration about being human, is like, how do we be in a mode that's authentic, which is on some level like connected to the one, while dealing with the many, and then creating a mode that seems to be strikes me as the question for us, the most personal one, the most universal one, the most cultural one. Yes, the most practical one, right?
If you don't do that right, then every step you take is in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Yes.
And the more you convince yourself that you don't have time to do that right, or that it's too important to slow down to do that right, the bigger steps you're taking in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And if you get frustrated with how hard it is to do that right, the harder it is to do that. I mean, it's the most practical, the most subtle. And as you were weaving just then, right? Yarning, as as would say.
Yes.
I was hearing Johnny V's distinction between the imaginary and the imaginal.
Yeah, bingo.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a thing for us to be doing here. And we're a part of nature, but we're not the same as everything else. Like we have this thing that's what we're here for. We are. That's what we're about. It's the imaginal capacity to intentionally, to consciously grow the real. Wow, that's intense.
Grow the real.
That's a serious deal, right?
Yeah.
Intentionally, to consciously grow the real is our gig.
Yeah.
And of course, a sacred trust, because if you pop that out of the imaginal, which is to say just continuity of contact, right? Holding the whole and being very careful to grow the real in a way that has integrity, with integrity and from integrity and to integrity. If you pop into the imaginary, right, then you've alienated yourself from the real, and you will for sure walk further and further away from the integrity of yourself and the real. Meaning you yourself will lose integrity. You'll be living more and more in a fantasy land that isn't real. So you will be divided in yourself, in your own interior. And you'll be divided with reality, right? You'll be fighting it with delusional and bullshitting and trying to do that stuff. And you'll actually be breaking the integrity of the real, right? You'll be throwing pollution and toxicity and whatever into your environment, whatever it is. Right? It could be lies and advertising and marketing. It could be beating up your children's souls. It could be anything, right? But that's sin. Back to Spinoza. Right? Those are the three flavors of sin. Error in the language. Sin just means to be off the path, to walk that way when that was the way you should be going. And those are the three.
Right. I'm appreciating the sense in which it even shows up in our air, right? It's even there, that is oriented to this. Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Like even our falling astray is a falling from, and in that sense is present in the character of falling. Right. Like, so there's something about that primordiality that kind of points to everything. Right. Even right. And in fact,
it's beautiful. I just heard a beautiful, like a musician. So beautiful, like a musician, beautiful, and then a bad note. But the musician is holding something where the bad note becomes the most beautiful of the notes. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're really, if the musician is like, bang, and, sorry guys, it just like drops out of the whole thing. Bad note, right? But if the musician is just playing, and the bad note is just in it, right? The awakening of that, degree to which that's an absolution, and that is a repentance embodied, like, oh, that's how this thing works, man. You do fall. We're humans. It's what we do. We fall. It's part of our story is to fall, is to err, and to breathe in the learning that is intrinsic in the air. I mean, how else are you going to learn? And then to get back onto the path, because we have now learned something even harder earned.
Right. This is why it seems like always never a bad move to always ask, what's unsaid? Right? What am I not hearing? Like, it seems like those questions are never bad to ask, right? Have you noticed that? Well, they're confronting.
Oh, yeah. It's like it should be like written on the back of your hand.
Yeah, totally. What am I not hearing? What am I not listening to? What's the silent note? Right?
Yeah.
Funny. It's never not. Yeah, it's funny. It's never bad, but boy, I have to say, like, it definitely is confronting. It can definitely.
It's like note to self. The universe is really super big, and mystery abounds, and it's very likely you're missing something.
Yes.
Just... Or the other one. This is more than have you noticed that you fuck up a lot? Just remember that.
Yes,
it's just don't stop trying stuff, but just remember you're probably fucking it up.
Totally.
And how do you deal with that? Listen, just ask yourself.
Absolutely. And the asymptotic nature of it, right? Not only are we always fucking up, but we can't ever totally finalize it in some sense. We're always can get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer, right?
Well, what I was just seeing there is that great video of the Mandelbrot set.
Yeah.
And we're in fact, they are in fact actually zooming in, but we begin to realize the notion of closer and the notion of zoom is actually not meaningful in the context of something that's intrinsically infinite.
Yeah.
You're just journeying, right? You're journeying with some other kind of relationship to what it means to move. Like, what does it even mean to move in the context? This is wow, sorry. I got to beat this drum because it came up